All right, guys. So on this episode of the GOP Civil War, we have Adam Kinzinger. I guess that's how you pronounce his name, who is a Republican representative from Illinois, who is very staunchly anti-Trump. I mean, he's been anti-Trump since 2016, in which he said that Trump's policies were not Republican policies, right? That was his main thing. He said that Trump turned Republicanism on its head, right? And then he goes and votes in line with President Trump 90% of the time in the House, right? So, I mean, hey, I don't know, man. I mean, I think that Trump governed pretty conservatively, in my opinion. I mean, the dude basically governed very much like Reagan, right? Doing his first term. So Adam Kinzinger here, who's a staunch critic of Trump, has been at the forefront of the anti-Trump movement within the Republican Party. And I mean, guys, obviously I don't necessarily agree with Mr. Kinzinger here, but I honestly do have a certain amount of respect for somebody who has this much cojones to buck the party, right? Because there's a lot of guys that are falling in line behind Trump even though they don't want to, right? There's a whole lot of people like that. That's why I said that I don't think it's smart for Trump to come out and announce that he's running immediately, because there are a lot of people that are on the fence. There are a lot of people that are looking to jump ship as soon as the political winds swing the other way. And they thought that that's what was going to happen after the Capitol, right? That's why you saw so many Republicans come out and go after Trump, like Nikki Haley, right? Who thought that the party, the base, was going to leave Trump after that. But when she saw that that wasn't happening, she quickly reeled it back in, right? She quickly fell back in line. And there's a lot of Republicans like that, in my opinion, right? So I'm not necessarily fooled by, what happened at CPAC and all the kumbaya and all that. No, the GOP rolls differently than that. In this sense, they're operating more covertly, right? They're waiting to see what is the politically expedient thing to do. At the very least, win back the House in 2022 and then go from there. I think that's the establishment GOP strategy. I really do, personally. So, anyways, kind of got off on a tangent there. This interview from Adam Kinzinger, he is going to criticize Trump's speech at CPAC, and he's going to state his beef with Trump. So let's listen to what Mr. Kinzinger has to say regarding his beef with Trump.
Former President Trump made his first public reappearance over the weekend, telling loyalists at CPAC that he wants to get rid of Republicans who supported his second impeachment.
The Democrats don't have grandstanders like Mitt Romney, Little Ben Sass, Richard Burr, Bill Cassidy, Susan Collins, and in the House, Tom Rice, South Carolina, Adam Kinzinger.
Joining us now is Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger.
You got every syllable.
People do have a hard time with your last name, by the way.
They do. Yeah.
Okay, so I know that you've said you consider that moment a badge of honor, and I understand where you are. But do you, when you hear the applause and you hear the enthusiasm of the crowd there, the base, the Republican base at CPAC, do you ever worry that you're the outsider, that you're not where the party is?
Yeah, that is a worry. It's not a worry because I'm, worried about my future and, oh, heavens, I might lose an election. It's a worry because if that is where the party fully is, and CPAC's usually, it's kind of a little different of a group. It may not be this year, but if that's where the party is, the party's in real trouble, because what that's showing is you had 17 people between the House and Senate that said that an insurrection on the Capitol was impeachable and removable. And even if you didn't believe it, but you thought it was bad, that's one thing. But what they seem to be doing there is saying that we were completely wrong for actually defending the Constitution. And so that where I would be worried is not so much on what it means for me. I mean, if I think I'm going to win, but if I'm out of this job, okay, I'll move on.
All right. I got to say, I mean, again, I don't necessarily agree with the guy. But I gotta say, I do respect the hell out of that. I respect the hell out of, if you feel so convicted about the way you feel, right, in regards to Trump, because again, guys, I told you there's a lot of Republicans that probably feel this way, but they're not saying it because they want to keep their jobs. They don't want to lose their jobs. So they fall in line, right? For him to come out and just be like, "No, I don't care if I lose my job. I'm going to stand up for what I believe." Hey, I can't knock him for that, right? I might not agree with what you believe, right? I might not necessarily fall in line with that, but for him to do that, it is different. It's something different than what we normally see in Washington.
It's what it would mean for the party.
Did you really think that his speech was boring, low energy, and weak, as you wrote?
She getting off to that right there. See, CNN, they love when Republicans go after each other. They love when Republicans go after Trump. They love that.
I really did, because I think if that was the first time we had heard Donald Trump speak, it would be shocking, all that stuff. But it was the same exact. I mean, you could have given that speech in September, and with the exception of having talked about impeachment, it would have been the same speech he gave this time. He had no new ideas. It was just.
Yeah, but see, what are your ideas? What are your ideas? And see, this is my problem with the establishment GOP. Okay, this is my main issue. Okay, you got beef with Trump. You don't like Trump. I get it. I understand. Okay. But what is your policies? What policies are you proposing that are better for the country than Trump? That's the real question. That's what I want to know. Okay? Because Trump goes out, and again, you can criticize him as much as you want. I mean, he does lay out his America First agenda, right? In which he explicitly states some of his policy positions. You guys, on the other hand, the McConnells of the world, I'm not throwing Mitt Romney in this boat, because Mitt Romney is more of a policy guy, but you, Mitch McConnell, Nikki Haley's of the world, you guys just criticize Trump because, Trump says bad things, or Trump says mean things. So therefore, I don't like Trump because I feel like he's a mean person, right? It doesn't really mean anything when it comes to actual policy, right? You say that Trump doesn't have any new ideas. Okay, what are your ideas? What ideas do you have? Because I will argue that the establishment GOP has no ideas outside of more war, right? And cutting taxes, right? Like, so, other than that, again, what is your counter policies to Trump? That's what I want to know. I don't want to know about, you don't like Trump's demeanors and his manners, and Trump says mean things. I don't want to know about that. That's not appealing to me.
I mean, to me, it looked like somebody that just needed his monthly dose of adoration in front of a crowd. So I really was bored. I mean, I watched it because I knew he was going to call my name out, and I wanted to be able to, to know how to respond and what was said. But it was.
Bruh, come on, man. Come on. So you watched the speech because you knew he was going to call your name out, right? So you're trying to go back and forth publicly with Trump, right? You're trying to have this war of words with Trump back and forth. And you don't want to talk about policy because you haven't proposed any policies. So where do you think this is going to go? What good do you think this is ultimately going to lead to? Because I don't see it.
It was a hard speech to get through because I was just like, looking at my phone a lot. As you can tell by the number of tweets I heard.
Well, here's another one that I found interesting. Nikki Haley thought that was a strong speech. She said, strong speech by President Trump about winning policies of his administration and what the party needs to unite behind moving forward. The liberal media wants a GOP civil war. Not gonna happen. And you responded, geesh, what happened to you? Sad.
Yeah.
How do you explain Nikki Haley?
I don't know, because I thought when she came out of her job, like she was going to be a strong contender for the presidency. And then,
of course you did, because you align right behind the war hawks of the party, right? Again, it's just hilarious to me how these people try to act like they're so much better than Trump when they're the reason that Trump got elected in the first place. right? Establishment politics is the reason why Trump got elected in the first place. So that's why you thought that Nikki Haley was a strong contender when literally nobody else thought that Nikki Haley was a strong contender.
Then she came out and kind of blamed Trump for January, then didn't blame him, then did. And then it's like you can't walk a tightrope if you're a Republican leader, and especially if you're looking for 2024. I think you have to pick a lane. You're either a Trump first Republican like Josh Hawley, like Ted Cruz, or you're a country first Republican. I can't really fit,
Or you're an establishment shield. Okay? You're an establishment shield. And I mean, I actually do think he's kind of right? You at this point in the Republican Party, no, you can't try to walk the fine line. Well, you kind of can, right? Tim Scott has demonstrated that you kind of can, because he didn't roll with all the election stuff, right? He did vote not to convict the president, but he didn't roll with all that election stuff. He literally said nothing. And then Trump still endorsed him, right? So Tim Scott finessed, right? But, he still made it clear, right? These Republicans that have Trump's endorsements have still made it clear that, hey, Trump's the leader of the party. He has a future in the party. They've clearly shown themselves in terms of who they're aligned with, right? And Nikki Haley tried to play that game of trying to be on both sides because she's trying to run in 2024. And she thought that the support was moving away from Trump after what happened at the Capitol, and she guessed wrong. Now she's trying to realign herself. And that's, again, a prime example of how these politicians work, guys. These politicians are like chameleons. They change color to whatever fits the background that they need. That's all they do.
I can think of Larry Hogan from Maryland that's kind of going the country first lane. And so I feel like Governor Haley's trying to have it kind of both ways, and you can't. Look, you can, as a party, you can win, I guess, some of the Trump base, yes, but you cannot have fealty to Donald Trump and then say that the country is the most important thing, because he demands that he be the most important thing.
Let's talk about...
Well, here's the thing. Some people believe that voting for Trump or aligning behind Trump's policies are best for America, right? That is what's best for America. That is putting the country first, right? And I think a lot of people kind of miss that when they want to criticize people for supporting Trump, where it's like, well, a lot of people support Trump not just because it's Trump, because they believe that Trump, is working in America's best interest. Okay? Obviously, nobody wants to put a candidate in the White House or support somebody that, right, is not putting the country first, right? Obviously, nobody wants to do that. So I think this whole, country first versus Trump first framing is a little disingenuous, because a lot of people do sincerely believe that Trump, policies are the best thing for America. And that's why they like Trump. And I think this guy is not focused on the policies. He's focused on trying to have a meme war and trying to go back and forth with Trump rather than actually put forth policies and do his job in the House that's going to actually make this country better and that's going to differentiate him, right? And I think that's the problem with a lot of the establishment. A lot of these establishment people are not policy first. They're virtue signaling first, right? And anti-Trump first. That's what they are. They're anti-Trump and virtue signaling first. They're not pushing their policies. And that's why the Lincoln Project failed. Because they were just focused on Trump. They weren't focused on any policies. They weren't focused on Trump's policies. They was attacking Trump's family, personal relationships. They was going for low blow attacks on Trump. Low blows. But I haven't heard one criticism of Trump's policies from any of these guys. And if you all agree with Trump's policies, then is it really worth going after him because he says mean things? I'm not sure. And I think that it would be a lot different, at least in my eyes, if these guys were actually criticizing Trump's policies and saying, okay, I don't agree with this policy for X, Y, and Z reason. At least I can say, well, you're having a policy disagreement. There's nothing wrong with that. That's politics. Okay, that's what politics is supposed to be about. But this is not a political disagreement. This is more of a, I don't like Trump personality. Trump says mean things, therefore I'm against him. And that to me is kind of where you lose a lot of people. That's where you lose me. So I just want to show you this interview. Adam Kinzinger is probably gonna be somebody I talk about a lot more, right? Because he is kind of leading the front on the anti-Trumpism in the Republican Party. So we'll definitely be hearing a lot more from him. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.